Israel has a long history of targeting hospitals, medical staff, journalists, places of worship, UN centers for children, refugee camps, businesses. The list could go on. On October 17th, around 7 p.m. local time, a bomb hit Ahli Arab hospital in Gaza City, killing at least 500 people. Immediately following the bombing, judgment and blame was placed directly on Israel. Israeli officials like Hannah Naftali, who worked as a digital aide and social media advisor to Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, immediately posted on X, attributing the attack on the hospital to the Israeli Air Force. That tweet was quickly deleted. Immediately following the deleted tweet from Naftali, the official State of Israel X account posted a video allegedly corroborating its version of events. This video was supposed to show a barrage of attacks fired from a PIJ base toward Israel at the time of the Al-Ahli bombing. However, journalist Eric Toller noted that the timestamp on Israel's video did not match up with the timing of the attack. The attack occurred at 7 p.m. local time, while the timestamp in the video shows the rockets firing at 7:59 p.m., almost an hour later. As the Israeli government narrative began to do their usual spinning, trying to use Al Jazeera's footage to support their claim, Al Jazeera came in clutch, immediately getting a team together to sift through both theirs and other sources of video footage displaying the bombing of the hospital. This is what they found.
Shows a series of rocket launches from Gaza. That video clearly shows how the Iron Dome intercepted these rockets. Going back to the Al Jazeera live feed at 18:59:35, we can see a single rocket launched from Gaza. This is the rocket in question. This rocket can also be seen on the Israeli video. 15 seconds later, Al Jazeera's live feed shows that the same rocket was intercepted at exactly 18:59:50. This interception has the same afterglow seen in previous interceptions. A closer look at the video captured by the Al Jazeera live feed shows the rocket being completely destroyed and broken apart in the sky. According to all feeds and videos analysed, this rocket was intercepted and was the last one launched from Gaza before the bombing of the hospital. 5 seconds after that interception, an explosion in Gaza can be seen, followed 2 seconds later by a much larger explosion. This is the strike that hit Ahli Arab Hospital. As a result, Al Jazeera Digital Investigations team found no grounds to the Israeli army claim that the strike on the Ahli Arab Hospital in Gaza was caused by a failed rocket launch.
Earlier this week, the New York Times did more investigation work, and while they continue to say it's probable that the devastation is from a Hamas or PIJ rocket, they, at the very least, did call out the fact that Israel's timing of events and the evidence they attempted to use to show their innocence was not accurate. Essentially calling out what Eric Toller and many others were saying in regards to Israel, their deleting, editing, and changing of information swiftly in order to create a change in the narrative. On Saturday, October 14th, the Al-Ahli's Diagnostic Cancer Treatment Center was hit around 7:30 p.m., with 4 hospital staff being injured in the blast. This was prior to the October 17th bombing. On October 17th, over 20 hospitals in the Gaza Strip were given evacuation orders, and that included the Al-Ahli Arab Hospital. Like so many we have seen, evacuation orders are practically impossible in Gaza, as the amount of people seeking care and needing treatment continues to rise, and an inability to move many patients, much of whom are children, in intensive care units. And as mentioned, there is ample evidence over the last 2 decades of Israel bombing hospitals, refugee camps, like we have seen just this week in the Jabalia refugee camp that has been, at the time of this recording, hit 3 times so far, with almost every fatality being a child or a woman. Between Al Jazeera's investigation, the New York Times having to admit that the so-called evidence provided by the IDF was not accurate for the timing of the event, along with multiple other videos, the likelihood of this being because of Israel and their Air Force is continuing to rise for those that were previously skeptical but now see the altered narratives from the IDF and corresponding videos to suggest that there is more here than just a Hamas or PIJ backfired rocket. Something to keep in mind is that an actual on-the-ground independent investigation has not been allowed because Israel will not let anyone in to investigate, and the United States has also said that they do not see a need for an investigation, which is all just a bit suspect to me. What do you think? The extent of damage that resulted at the Al-Ahli hospital is unlike any damage that a Hamas or PIJ rocket has ever fired, which is another big red flag when it comes to the narrative from the Israeli government and defense forces. Over the years, the Palestinian resistance has fired many rockets into Israel. In 2021, during an 11-day attack and airstrike, Hamas fired around 4,000 rockets at Israeli cities, communities, and army bases, hundreds of which landed inside the Gaza Strip. The IDF at that time said that they intercepted 90% of the rockets aimed at Israel. 12 people were killed in Israel, with 350 injured. Meanwhile, the death toll in Gaza at that time reached 232, with 1,600 injured. In 2021, a review of Gaza's rocket technology following and during the 11-day attack found that one Israeli died for every 206 rockets reaching the country. That approached the rate of 1 per 204 rockets in 2008. By comparison, in 2012, it took 270 rockets to kill one civilian, and in 2014, it took 1,429 rockets. When it comes to Hamas and PIJ firing rockets into Israel, the media narrative around such attacks is almost always a tone of absolute catastrophe for the Israeli people, no matter how large of a disparity in the death toll that there is between the Palestinians and Israelis. The current death toll in the 2023 Israel war against Gaza, starting from October 7th, following Hamas's attack on Israel, at the time of this recording on November 3rd, is the following: 1,405 Israelis killed, compared to at least 9,227 killed in Gaza, 143 killed in the West Bank, where Hamas does not operate, with at least 32,516 civilian injuries, including at least 6,360 children and 4,891 women. Compare that to 5,431 injuries in Israel. While it's not to say that one death is more or less important than another, it cannot and should not be understated the level of extreme differences in the death and injury toll on the side of Gaza and the West Bank versus Israel. There are more than 5 times more deaths and injuries on Palestinians than Israelis. Yet the Western media and much of the world powers look at Palestinians as the ultimate aggressor. But when we look at the actual arsenal differences between Hamas and Israel, there is no comparison. Israel is an absolute powerhouse in what capabilities they have available to them versus the Palestinian resistance fighters. In this image here, we can see just the ballistic and cruise missiles that Israel has compared to Hamas's rocket arsenal. Israel has some of the most advanced missile capabilities in the Middle East. Much of their missile capabilities are short-range tactical systems, including advanced semi-autonomous loitering weapons. Israel also deploys longer-range ballistic missiles for strategic deterrence. As we see here, there is no comparison between the arsenal that Israel has compared to the meager arsenal in the hands of Hamas. This is why, when looking at the amount of interceptions that have occurred by the Iron Dome on Hamas and PIJ rockets over the years, coupled with the corresponding death toll that occurs if a Hamas rocket actually makes its target, I have not been able to find any numbers exceeding 15 total deaths of Israelis from one rocket. It's not to say that there hasn't been a larger count, but I have not been able to find anything remotely close to the 500 number that Israel and the United States is trying to put on Hamas and the PIJ. That is a death toll that does not compute. It does not follow past and current data. It does, however, match the devastation that Israel has inflicted over the last almost month against Gaza and the civilian population. Israel has, not just this month, not just this year, but over the last decades, has killed an indiscriminate amount of innocent Palestinians, many of whom are children and for which many of said attacks are considered war crimes. From everything I can see and all the information that I have gathered, the Ahli Arab hospital bombing was because of Israel. They are the ones that did it. They admitted to it, and they are now trying to lie, trying to obfuscate, and most egregiously continue to use the disgustingly depraved rhetoric that this was more human shielding by Hamas. Show me the numbers when Hamas or PIJ have killed over 500 Israelis in one shot. Show me. But you can't, because it does not exist. Israel is a superpower acting like a victim against rebel groups that have their small rockets, their fan-powered parachutes and paragliders, their ingenuity, their strength, and frankly, their rage. Israel acting like a victim in this is absolute hypocrisy. It's hypocrisy when they are the ones committing genocide. They are holocausting a people. They are doing it out in the open for the entire world to see. But unlike World War II and the righteous indignation that Germany received for their Nazism, the West is silent because Palestinians are inconvenient to the narrative of poor Israel. And who knows what and how much Mossad has on all our politicians. Shame on the West. Shame on our politicians. And absolute shame on Israel. They are showing their whole ass, and karma cannot come quick enough. Well, thank you so much for watching. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please hit that like button and also subscribe, as it really helps out the channel. And also leave me a comment down below to let me know what you think. As always, stay safe, take care, and be kind to each other.